of my favorite guests is here. Hello, Gina Plata-Nino. She is with the Food Research and Action Center, also known as FRAC, also known as Superheroes, also known as So Important. Welcome, Gina.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here. So, food. Food is becoming increasingly unaffordable. We have an affordability crisis in food. Can you share a little bit about what's going on in terms of access to food, access to nutrition, who has access, who doesn't, all of the things? What's happening with food right now?
A lot of things. I think you said it best, right? Like we have a trifecta, for lack of a better word. So we had tariffs that really increase sort of imports and exports coming in, which raises prices. We have inflation that is also impacting food access. So now I believe the last labor data statistic, it was the food now costs 2.7% more than it did this time last year. I think a good indicator, while eggs did go down, beef is, $7 to $8 more, making it incredibly expensive. And now we expect that we'll be having a very different conversation as the war in Iran continues, because that's impacting fuel, right? Think transport, in other ways. And at the back end of all of that, we have low wage Americans, right? Who are working incredibly hard, but their wages have been reduced, they're not making enough. And so rely on the supplemental nutrition program, SNAP. That program was cut down dramatically in the summer, almost $187 billion. So what that means is that it means cuts for people in terms of less benefits, cuts for individuals who are no longer eligible under the new rules. So at a time where we have more food insecurity, less jobs available, a weak economy, we have less resources to be able to propel individuals.
And hello, when we go to the grocery store these days, it is jaw-dropping. I mean, absolutely jaw-dropping. I wish I could live on coffee alone. Sometimes I do confess to trying to, but coffee is up 33%, you all. Like, this is not a small amount of increase in food and sustenance prices. And SNAP is so important and has long, basically forever, had bipartisan support. Now, when Trump did his State of the Disunion recently, I was completely shocked to hear him brag about pushing people off of SNAP. That is unprecedentedly awful. SNAP has been shown time and time again to not just lift hardworking people, but to also lift our economy. And one Republican analysis found that for every $1 that taxpayers put into SNAP programs, we all get back $1.73 in economic activity, because when you have SNAP, you spend it pretty immediately at the grocery store, which then helps pay the grocery store workers. It helps pay the truckers that bring the food to the grocery store. It helps pay the farmer. It helps pay everybody along that whole supply chain. And when you take it out, it's people go without. And people need nutritious food to be able to work, to be able to raise kids, to be able to contribute to our communities. Again, cutting SNAP cuttings our ability to contribute to our communities, to work, and to boost our economy. It is the opposite of economic smartness. What is your take on the way we are seeing Republicans frame SNAP that is breaking the bipartisan history of support of this program because of the numbers that show that this is such an important program for our economy?
I think the way to look at it is it really is not unprecedented. I wish it was, but though we got to this point. But if you look at starting back to the Reagan era, right? Food banks came from there to respond to the hunger crisis that the Reagan administration caused, because the first thing they did was transfer millions of dollars to billionaires. Sound familiar? And cut down child nutrition programs, SNAP programs, unemployment. And the administration denied that there was hunger in America, and later on had to take away some of those cuts that they did because they're like, oh no, we really caused a hunger crisis, right? We saw it again in 96 with Newt Gingrich really pushing the Contract for America. Republicans were like, Contract for America pretty much dismantled the TANF program, which put, primarily single women, moms with less resources to be able to have. And now Republicans are like, we did so well in this Contract for America, right? SNAP also got capture under that. We have our time limits. We have all of these awful provisions. And now we're back in 2025. Same thing. Republicans were like, we were successful in the 80s. We were successful in 96. Let's make the program even less unaffordable. And they just, I think it's the straw man's argument, right? They want to make sure that people who are lobbying, who are paying their bills, keep on getting richer. And it really is that. Like it really is pitting Americans against American without letting us see that they created an economic ladder. If you are and I keep saying billionaires, because it's not millionaires. If you're a billionaire, you will be fine in America. If you are a regular America, like most of us are, who are not making incredibly high seven figures, we are in trouble because it's impacting. It is the getting rid of the middle class, because everyone, even if you're not on SNAP, you are impacted because your state, your municipality now has to offset the federal disinvestment both in healthcare, in higher education, and in food security in order to continue providing for its members. And so when you see your school getting less resources, when you see that you're not getting that special ed teacher or that school bus, or your potholes are not getting paved, other sort of resources that their hospitals will be closing, and groceries are closing because they will also are impacted. That's the result of federal disinvestment, where it impacts full communities and not just the individuals who need help at the moment.
And at the same time, our federal taxes are not going down. So what does this mean? This means that the money has been shifted. We are not seeing less taxes coming from us because healthcare has been cut dramatically, because SNAP has been cut dramatically, because other core programs that allow families who are Democrat, Republican, Independent, and Libertarian, and any other political party to thrive have been cut. No, instead what we saw was a dramatic shift from highly popular, highly effective programs like Medicaid and Medicare and SNAP into programs like ICE, into programs where we saw those funds being used to terrify hardworking families, to separate families, to create chaos in communities, and to not have any accountability measures to communities as ICE officers are there and present. And so one of the things that we know is that we need a safe, orderly, compassionate, and secure immigration process. That we know. What we also know even more is that we don't need cuts for SNAP, we don't need cuts for healthcare, and we don't need cruelty. So these funds have been diverted out of our pocket to cruelty and out of SNAP and healthcare. I'm just going to say, I cannot even believe it. And now we have it being diverted even more into whatever Donald Trump is doing with his ridiculous international dispute causing. I don't even know what to call it. I'm going to call it international dispute causing, which is also highly expensive. So it's not like our tax bills have gone down. Also, we see, billionaires, as you said, having to pay less taxes on their yachts. Not very many people can afford yachts in the first place, much less need a yacht tax break. So
actually
that's not
a lot
helpful.
of and private planes, private helicopters, those are not taxed. But our vehicles, who have gotten so incredibly high that we need to get to work, those are taxed, right?
Yes.
All the return on investment that they have is not taxed. So it's actually states are going to get a double whammy. Not only the federal disinvestment, but now the billionaires in their states are paying less taxes. And it's interesting because the main there's this idea of who's like the most deserving. It's people who are literally sitting at home, and as they sit at every moment, they're getting millions, thousands of dollars in the bank for doing absolutely nothing except making sure that they supported an administration that was going to prioritize them and make the 2017 Jobs Act, right? Those tax breaks for billionaires permanent. It is the most inequitable transfer of wealth in American history. We are not getting that back.
And it's our wealth.
Yes.
Taxes is our wealth. That's what I always try to, remind people. This funds have been prioritized by people like me, you, and us who know that we need access to healthcare. We're one of the only industrialized nations without universal healthcare. Who know we need access to childcare. Hello, most industrialized nations have a better childcare system than we do. Who know we need access to SNAP and nutrition. What kind of country rolls back SNAP? Not a good one, you all. And who knows that we don't want cruelty. We do not want to fund chaotic, unlawful cruelty happening around our communities. And that's a large part of what's being funded with these monies that are ours. It's so upsetting. It's not sort of a board game. Those are literally funds out of our paychecks. I'm so upset about this. What can people do?
What can people do? It's call it out, right? Like you mentioned what happened with border protection, right? We call it border protection, but they went after refugees, asylees, children, 5-year-old children, people who are making money as private, again, friends of the whole circle, billions of dollars. Instead of doing affordable housing, they're doing warehouses of people. And I do know, like within the Jewish community, it does bring back a lot of stress, right? Thinking of Germany creating these hubs where people were taking to be placed, right? These people, there is no organization, there is no oversight whatsoever. 170 billion towards that, right? And 187 billion taking off from staff. So what can we do? We really need to call it out, right? At the end of the day, we may not be millionaires, but each vote, each voice counts. Call up your member of Congress and let them know, this is what I'm seeing in my community. I am not okay with you, the way that you are representing me in Congress. I need you to prioritize our interests, not the interests of 2 to 3 billionaires in our state. The millions of people in my community need to ensure that SNAP is protected. People are getting cut off of these harmful time limits. We see older adults, grandparents, who now can't raise their children because they can't afford it and they have to go back into the workforce. I need you to do something about it. And I need to make sure that as we talk about the Farm Bill, as we talk about any legislation, that we go back to restoring SNAP how it was before July 4th.
100%. And how can they join your organization? Because hello, everybody needs to join. Get involved, stay involved, follow, track. You're
Yeah.
doing amazing work.
We make it super easy for you. Where you have to do is put in your information. So go to frac.org and put action, put in your email, and we send you updates so you know what's going on all across the country and in your state. And we tell you exactly how to contact your member of Congress, what those priorities are. All you have to put is your information. And we're always happy to talk to people. So definitely sign up and reach out to any of us. We're happy to offer any technical assistance you may need.
And for people who want to make a call to Congress, what should they say, like specifically? They should call their member of Congress, pick up, when they pick up, and you won't talk to your member of Congress. You're going to talk to the office. So when the office picks up, what should they say?
Yeah. And they're like super friendly. I've yet met from either party. Everyone's super friendly. They're super nice. So keep that in mind. My name is Gina. I am a resident put in your state. I am a resident of this state. He is my representative. I'm I am concerned about these SNAP cuts that happen, and I want you to sign up for any vehicle that's going to restore SNAP so that my neighbors can have food. And that's it. It's as simple as that. I think that was like 30 seconds.
That's it. Please support any vehicle that restores the SNAP funding so my neighbors can have food. Boom. Very important message. Like very important on many levels. Like what is even happening in our country that we have to make these calls, but please make those calls and please sign up with FRAC. Thank you so much for being on, Gina. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.